Shabbat Shalom. It's great to see so many people. We have 41 devices, which means way more people than that. And we're going to begin with a beautiful song, which is Shabbat HaMalkah. And let me get it into slide mode. And please join us. Oh, you know what? When I share the screen, Bob, I have to mute myself now. Otherwise, I can't mute myself when I share the screen. So I will mute myself.
Make it bigger. Can you make it bigger? A little bit bigger? Can you make it just a smidge bigger? Achama merosh ha'ilanot nistalka Bohu v'netzel likrat Shabbat hamalka Hinei yoredet hakdosha berucha Ve'ima malachim tzva shalom u'menucha Boi, boi, hamalka Boi, boi, hakala Shalom aleichem Malachei HaShalom. The sun on the treetops no longer is seen. Come gather to welcome the Sabbath, our Queen. Behold, the holy, the blessed, and with her the angels of peace and of rest. Draw near, and here abide. Draw near, O Sabbath bride. Peace also to you, you angels of peace.
So I'm going to light the Shabbat candles, and then Bob and Barbara will chant the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And Bob is going to lead us in the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinichi lanu zikaron lemase v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikroei kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahava uvratzon, Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim, everybody.
L'chaim. Okay, hang on. So, Rabbi Ben Spratt points out that the Hebrew word for holy, which is kadosh, is often translated as distinct, separate, or different, even as the word for sacrifice, korban, more literally means that which makes close or draws near. The service at the temple in Jerusalem embodied these two words. The purpose of the priests was to remain separate from the people while linking them to God. The sacrifices themselves meant to draw humanity and divinity close, while the definition of the sacrificial animal and the process of its offering is one of separation and distinction. And this is all relevant because we're reading the book of Leviticus that tells us all about the temple sacrifice. The Hasidic Rabbi Levi Yitzhak of Berdichev uses the notion of drawing near and separating as a way to understand the role of the leader. He comments on a verse in our Torah portion this week. And the verse is, Aaron lifted his hands toward the people and blessed them. And he stepped down after offering the purgation offering, the burnt offering, and the offering of well-being. Now, there may not be too much to kind of interpret there, but all these rabbis come up with all sorts of interesting ways of looking at specific words. So Rabbi Levi Yitzhak reflects, there's a righteous person who does not draw so close to engaging with each person to bring others closer to their Creator, who only strives to strengthen himself. The divine presence does not dwell with this righteous person so much, since he lacks the linkage of the community. And this is how Rabbi Levi Yitzhak understands the verse, Aaron lifted his hands. That is, at first he lifted himself to be separated off and set apart from the people, to be by himself and not engage with them. And when it says toward all the people, up to this point he had been with the people, engaging with them. Yet he now lifted himself away from the community. And that is why he, quote, stepped down from offering the sin offering. He came down from his personal experience of the divine. So a leader should not be somebody who, hang on a second, a leader should not be someone who separates himself or herself from the community, elevating him or herself only, but should join with the community in reaching God. Now we're going to continue with L'Hadodi, and hopefully we can turn at least towards the door as the last verse is sung to welcome the Sabbath bride.
L'Hadodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמות וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל העם יוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו דברת ולתיבה. l'Hadodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. l'Hadodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכוון אל הקו, כלים לכל הברכה, מראש מקדם נשואה, סוף מעשה שבת תפילה. הדדי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך הדדי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורק וביעורי, ובי שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך. לך הדדי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך הדדי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Stand up and face the door. Boi v'shalom ha'terech ala, kan v'simcha v'tzala, v'kevune hamsekuna, boi lecha dodi lekrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. לך הדדי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
So, as I mentioned before, Rabbi Levi Yitzhak considers that what Aaron does, separating himself from the community, is a lower form of holiness, one in which divinity is not fully present. In contrast, he says, the divine presence essentially comes to dwell on a person when one leads the people and engages with each and every one, seeking to create connection with the blessed Creator, each and every one according to his or her level. Then through the merit of the entire community reaching together towards teshuvah, towards turning, the Holy One causes the divine presence to dwell with us.
Let's look like them.
They're not muted, Rabbi.
Okay. Everyone's muted now, including you, Bob. Sorry. Okay. So we have to help the entire community to reach towards teshuvah, towards turning. And that happens with Moses and Aaron, who go inside the tent of meeting and come out. That is, they came out of the place that they had been before, separated and apart from the people, only now to engage with them. The merit of the community brought about the indwelling of divinity even more than when they had been separated off and distinguished from the community. In other words, we bring the holy presence in by including the whole community, not by having the leaders be the ones to connect with God. To quote Rabbi Spratt again, our highest form of holiness is realized when an individual links him or herself to a collective. In moving from isolation to integration, from distinction to connection, God comes to dwell. In other words, the primary purpose and the highest holiness is that of connectedness. So here we are in community, connecting to each other, and that's what creates the presence of God. And as a reminder, in Judaism, we always are supposed to have a window in our sanctuary so that we can look outwards and see other people and connect with other people and know what's going on in the world, so that our blessings and our prayers amount to action out in the real world. So we're going to continue with Lecha Dodi, except I better unmute Bob, otherwise. Oh, you already did.
Yeah. Okay. Am I muted?
You're unmuted.
Okay. There we go. I want to encourage the congregation to join with me in these songs, but you must join with me with yourselves muted. Sorry about that. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalmad divrei chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayidachal Beit Yisrael ba'gala v'bizman karib v'meru amen. יהי שמירה במבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתבר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי לקדושה בריחו, לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירון בעלמה, וימרו, Amen.
We continue with the Baruch Hu, the call to worship.
Hi, di, 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 di. Yai, di, 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 di. Yai, di, di, yai, di, di, di. Yai, di, 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 di. Ya, di, 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
This is a prayer by Alden Solovey, which is called For Spring, since we're now in springtime. Shimmering, radiant air, alive with new warmth. Sunshine waking the earth, calling the grasses to grow and bulbs to prepare flowers. Winds clear the remnants of seasons past, old leaves and dry branches making way for new life. And the rain joins the sun to feed the land. Bless this day, God of seasons. Bless the spring with energy and hope. Be present with us as we celebrate the glory of creation, planting the land and our lives with your gifts, these gardens of holiness and love. God of time and space, may the season be a blessing and a teacher. Make me like the sunshine, a source of light. Make me like the earth, flowing with bounty, ready to give. Bless my days with service and my nights with peace. Make me like a garden, a source of beauty and purpose, sustenance and splendor. We continue with Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו. ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, ואהבת עבדך, התשיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
We continue with the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת. Can't hear you, Rabbi. Unmute yourself.
We just finished Passover and ate lots of matzah. And this is a piece by Marge Piercy about matzah. Flat you are as a doormat and as homely. No crust, no glaze. You lack a cosmetic glow. You break with a snap. You are dry as a twig. Split from an oak in midwinter. You are bumpy as a mud basin in a drought. Square as a slab of pavement, you have no inside to hide raisins or seeds. You are pale as the full moon, pocked with craters. What we see is what we get. Honest, plain, dry, shining with nostalgia as if baked with light instead of heat. The bread of flight and haste, in the mouth you promise home. And the promise is liberation from slavery in Egypt. We cross the Red Sea, and when we come to the other side, we sing the Michamocha.
Mocha Poli Madonna, Nika Mocha Neta Bakodesh, Nora Tehila Dosepele, Nora Tehila Dosepele, Ala Putaka, Raovaner, Haboke Ayamite Moshe Umiriam, Zei, Anu de Ameru, Adonai Mo. Leolam Bae, Nika Mocha Poli Madonna, Nika Mocha Neta Bakodesh, Nora Tehila Dosepele, Nora Tehila Dosepele, Mala Putaka Raovaner, Haboke Ayamite Moshe Umiriam, Zei, Anu Be'ameru, Adonai Mo, Leolam Bae. Easy words. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la, ya la 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 ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la.
This is, see, I'm unmuted, yes. This is a piece by Ruth Bryn. It's called In the Grip of the Solstice. Feels like a train roaring into night, the journey into fierce cold just beginning. The ground is newly frozen, the crust brittle and fancy with striations, steeples and nipples we break under our feet. Every day we are shortchanged a bit more. Night pressing down on the afternoon, throttling it. Wan sunrise later and later, every day trimmed like an old candle you beg to give an hour's more light. Feels like hurtling into vast darkness, the sky itself whistling of space, the black matter between stars, the red shift as the light dies, warmth a temporary aberration, entropy as a season. Our ancestors understood the brute fear that grips us as the cold settles around us, closing in. Like the logs in the fireplace tonight, like the candles, first one, then two, the full Hanukkah. Like the fire in the belly, eat hot soup, cabbage and beef, borscht, chicken soup, lamb and barley, stoke the marrow. Put down the white wine and pour whiskey instead. We reach for each other in our bed, the night vaulted above us like a cave. Night in the afternoon, cold frosting the glass so it hurts to touch it, only flesh still welcoming to flesh. And we're now past that season of cold, and we welcome the warmth of the spring. We continue with Yismechu. Oops, that's not. Sorry, wait a second.
There it is. You want to mute your mic. Yismechu v'malakutecha shomerei shomerei Shabbat v'korei oneg v'korei oneg Yismechu v'malakutecha shomerei shomerei Shabbat v'korei oneg v'korei oneg Yismechu
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שומרי שבת וקולי עונה וקולי עונה.
המקדשי שבי כל עם ישבעו כל עם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שומרי שבת וקולי עונה וקולי עונה. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שומרי שבת וקולי עונה וקולי עונה.
והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו אמונת ימים אותו קראת זה זכר למעשה בראשית
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שומרי שבת וקולי עונה וקולי עונה. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שומרי שבת וקולי עונה וקולי עונה.
So this is a piece called The Priests Begin Their Work, about Leviticus 10 and 11, which is our Torah portion, Shmini. Though many of the ways of our fathers have been burned away by time, we Jews are not consumed. Though priest and Levite have burned away, holiness and purity are not consumed, and the distinction between the clean and the unclean remains. The sin offering and the guilt offering have burned away, but justice is not consumed. Though ark and temple are turned to ashes, worship is not consumed. Lord God, you hold in your hand the 12 tribes like the precious stones on the breastplate of the high priest. You hold all the people of the earth like a handful of jewels. Though we cannot penetrate the mysteries that are in ourselves and beyond ourselves, teach us for all time the unity of these: justice, purity, holiness, and the worship of you. And we continue with the tefillah.
Adonai, Sefatai, Sefatai Tiftach, Uvi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, Sefatai, Sefatai Tiftach, Uvi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Emotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Isaac, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imaot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי Davido Melech, Melech Meimid Umechaye, Umasmiach Yeshua. V'ne'emanata l'chayota kol baruch ata Adonai mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalalucha sela. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Let's continue silently for a couple of minutes with the prayers of our heart.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki ata hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom.
She has that.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם.
So we are in the period of time when we're counting the Omer, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. So we are going to say the blessing for count. Wait, I have to share first, and then you'll be able to see this. Here it is.
Hineni mukhanim zuman, 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 hineni mukhanim zuman. Hineni mukhanim zuman. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kisham b'tzotav v'tzivanu al sefirat haomer. Take it away, Rabbi. Take it away, Rabbi. Hayom.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant you were done. Okay. Hang on. Here we go. What happened to my Kindle? Oh dear. Can you
It must
see
be
that?
one week and 1 day of the Omer.
Can you
Or
see
2
it?
days. Well, it must be 1 week. I didn't write it down, unfortunately.
I know. Oh,
No.
it's the second week. But I
I
think
know, but it's the 9th day, isn't it?
yeah, it's the 9th day. Can you see the blessing? Did I share it?
No.
Not at
Yeah,
the moment.
not at the moment.
Right,
You did
let me
before,
just
though.
try that again. Okay, wait a second. Share. There we are. Oop.
That's like a sleeping cat. Let's say it's a Hayom, Tisha, Yom, Shehem, Echad Shavua, Echad Yom, La Omer.
Okay, thank you.
That's what it really should be. Or Shnei Yamim, I'm sorry, it's 2 days of the Omer because it's Friday into Saturday.
Okay. So we're going to take a moment to think of those in need of healing, whether of body, of mind, or spirit. We think of congregants and friends and family of congregants. Jonathan Davidson, Brenda Oppenheim, Ben Henderson, Bob Fry, Nancy Fry, Julie Lobos, Gloria Mangus, Steve Lux, Werner Kopel, no longer, Chris Goodell, Kathy Kreider, Jan Judman, Julie Lapidus, Lynn Yarmoff, and Pamela Mangus. And if you have other names, please share them with us.
John Alphabet, Irving Klein, and Helen Innegus.
Carpenter,
Gary Copel,
Susie Copel,
Judy Gordon.
So please join us in the Misha Barach, the prayer for healing.
Tom Johnson.
Mute everybody. Misha Barach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Barach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. So let me just find my document here. So we're now 1 week into counting the Omer, and this is a reference to the biblical practice of counting 7 weeks from the Passover holiday all the way until Shavuot, the Festival of Weeks. And of course, Shavuot is when we received the Torah. So in the biblical period, this was a count from the early spring barley harvest in the land of Israel until the wheat harvest, at which time an offering of first fruits from the land would be brought to the temple. And the priests would wave an omer, a sheaf of grain, as part of the ritual. In the rabbinic period, Shavuot became associated with the moment of giving of the Torah, and the counting of the omer became symbolic of the Israelites' trek through the wilderness, from slavery in Egypt to revelation in Mount Sinai. By sometime in the medieval period, Jewish mystics associated this journey of counting with deep spiritual preparation and mapped 7 sefirot, or aspects of godliness, onto these 7 weeks. So each week has a particular flavor and each day of each week also has a certain character or intention to it. Each week of the Omer is an opportunity to prepare ourselves to receive whatever Torah, insight, learning, discernment that we need this year. We just finished the first week associated with the quality of chesed, loving kindness and compassion. And today we begin the week of gevura, which contains the qualities of strength, discernment, and discipline. Of course, this year our trek throughout the wilderness feels quite real as we mark a month of social distancing and some unknown number of weeks to come continuing this difficult journey. The counting of the Omer invites us to think about what inner qualities we want to nurture to get through this challenging time. The week of Gevura is an invitation to practice in the sense of taking on practices that help us cultivate wholesome qualities. It's impossible to foster qualities like patience, kindness, strength, clarity, and the like without some amount of discipline and discernment. But discipline is not the same as being hard on ourselves. It just means to take seriously our ability to actually shape our own experience. Gevura is a reminder of our own power and strength, especially when we might not be feeling so strong. So as we enter Shabbat, I invite you to reflect on your own strengths, as well as to set an intention to cultivate those qualities that might be a bit more of a stretch for you. Know that the power of the universe is on your side, supporting you in this practice and walking beside you in the effort. And I have my colleague Toba Spitzer, who's a rabbi in the Boston area, to thank for these insights into the Omer. Now, what's interesting this particular week is that we are reading Shmini, the Torah portion Shmini, and this is actually when the Torah reaches its halfway point in the number of words. So I guess the rabbis didn't have all that much to do, so they sat there and they counted all the words in the Torah. And they discovered that right smack here in the Torah portion we're reading this week is the halfway point of all the words in the Torah. And the words on either side of this are darosh and darash, meaning to inquire, which seems to be in perfect keeping with what we've just talked about, which is inquiring about what our strengths are and what kinds of qualities we need to really develop within ourselves during this very challenging period of time, which hopefully is a time of learning, so that when we come out of it, we will have gathered new qualities in ourselves, or more strengthened qualities. Now, our Torah portion includes a very disturbing section. I'm going to read you a couple of verses from Leviticus 10. Now, Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, each took his fire pan, put fire in it, and laid incense on it. And they offered before God an alien fire, which God had not enjoined upon them. And fire came forth from God and consumed them. Thus they died in the presence of God. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what God meant when God said, 'Through those near to me I show myself holy, and be glorified before all the people.'" And Aaron was silent. Now you have to understand, this is in the middle of the inauguration of the new, in this case, Mishkan, the traveling sanctuary. We've gotten all these instructions about how to build it and what the priests are going to wear and what they're going to do. And now we've just inaugurated this new sanctuary. And the high priest's sons, Nadav and Avihu, get zapped by God because they brought this fire pan, which is considered an alien fire by the Torah. So Zohar Atkins, who's a really interesting and brilliant reader of Torah, says that on the one hand, the moral of this story is that rebellion meets with punishment, with transgression. That it meets with punishment and transgression meets with alienation. So that's one side of the coin, because apparently Nadav and Avihu did something they weren't supposed to do. And so they got punished. They weren't told to bring that particular fire pan of incense. But on the other hand, it's also a creative divergence from divine authority, which demonstrates and achieves human dignity. Because going astray, getting lost, paradoxically confirms and vindicates our existence as being in the image of God. After all, God doesn't obey anybody. We're in God's image, so why can't we decide to do things on our own in a kind of creative way? So there's that tension in that story between deciding to go off on your own and create your own and adhering to the rules and the laws that were set by God. So on the one hand, it's a story about the fatal consequences of human error, arrogance, or whatever. On the other hand, it's a story about the incredible example of those who are willing to die for their ideals, which you may or may not agree with. It's possible that Nadav and Avihu know very well that what they're doing is a problem and that they're very well aware of the risks that they're taking. They want to merge with God in their own way, and they want to dissolve the artificial boundaries of human society, the conventions of institutional religion, the complacency of routine. Because after all, if we pray every week the same prayers, or every week we bring the same sacrifices, and we do exactly as we're told, it becomes routine, and it no longer has the passion of our attempt to merge with God. So Nadav and Avihu say, I want to bring my own intention to this. So they're bad priests because they didn't listen to what they were supposed to do, yet they're virtuous. They're authentic spiritual seekers. And they have a point, one the Torah recognizes and affirms in its own way. Their death exposes the trade-off between a system based on rules, routine, hierarchy, and tradition, and the chaotic urges of the passionate individual. Perhaps they knew that it would only be a matter of time before the sanctuary, far from being a house for God, would simply become a house for perfunctory ritual, gossip, and thoughtlessness. Okay, so I thought we would open this up for a little discussion and talk about either what kinds of strengths and what kinds of qualities you're trying to develop in your own self right now. Or we can talk about whether being rebellious and creating your own way of approaching God is appropriate, and how much of that is appropriate, and how much adhering to the routines and the rules is the right amount. So I'm going to open that up to discussion here. And please unmute yourself, and please feel free to express your thoughts on this.
Maybe they thought they were going to please God and they weren't trying to rebel.
So it's possible they were trying to please God. I mean, after all, this is sort of like the golden calf incident in a certain sense, because what do they know? They just inaugurated this brand new tabernacle. And what do they know about what the rules were to follow, that they weren't allowed to bring their own incense? I mean, there are, of course, a lot of different explanations for why they were zapped. One of them is that, they got too close to God, and that if, it's sort of metaphoric, that if you're too engaged in your, connection with God, maybe you lose all sense of proportion. There's a story in the Talmud about 4 rabbis who go to what's called Pardes, which is, trying to achieve a level of connection to God, and they lose their minds, and, one of them goes crazy, one commits suicide, one dies, and the only one who comes back from that is Rabbi Akiva. So the idea is that, you can't completely lose your sort of defenses, because you end up becoming insane. And that's, when you get too close to God. Another one is that they were trying to show, hey, we have our own rules, and they're trying to show up their teacher Moses. And you're never supposed to show up your teacher. So, but maybe they were just being innocent. Who knows? We don't know. We really don't know. It's a pretty drastic punishment for what they seem to have done.
Seemed like Adam got away with far more and didn't get put to death.
That's true. Adam didn't get put to death, at least not immediately. I think they would have been possibly immortal if they hadn't eaten that fruit. But yeah, I mean, look, the people who worship the golden calf, again, they just came out of slavery. And what do they know of, worship, and who this invisible God was, and who this Moses guy was who was up on the mountain for too long? And a lot of them get killed for worshiping the golden calf, and they're punished with not being able to go into the promised land. So God can be pretty harsh.
And do you think that, how do we balance, following the rules, and how much do we balance rebelling against the rules? Obviously, a certain rebelling against the rules allows us to be creative and to come up with new ways of doing things. But if we do too much of that, we're going to have a society that plunges into chaos. So that's one issue. And the other issue is, as I said, here we are stuck in our homes. We don't have a choice. And we can be upset about it, or we can say, what am I supposed to learn from this challenging experience? So we can be open to that discussion as well.
But I think that the risk also is that when you have individuals that are in the leadership position being extremely overpowering over the communities that they lead, so there's also the other extreme part to it. They're using these examples that we have to follow what I'm saying to the T. I have a big problem with that. I think there's a point that you need to reflect upon it and say, okay, this is good for my family, this is not good for my family.
Yeah, I mean, a leader can be so, it's sort of what I was saying earlier in the service, the idea that Aaron, at least the interpretation that Levi Yitzhak of Berdichev had, was that Aaron was so infused with his own connection to God, he forgot the community. And that's a way in which a leader, should find limits to how much they do that, and how much they remember what their responsibilities are to the community. But if they're just following, orders, or just following things the way they've always been done, then things get pretty dull. So it's a delicate balance, I think.
What keeps tickling my curiosity is the concept of alien fire. What makes it alien? Was it the intention, or was it the fact that it wasn't the actual proper fire? Fire to me is a symbol of energy. It's a symbol of the burning bush. It's a symbol of God itself.
Yeah.
So what made it alien? What made it? Was it not of God's fire? And that's it. Like, it's in the back of my head. I don't know where I want to go with that, but it keeps tickling my curiosity for sure. And how did we get that? Yeah.
I think it's alien because it's not what was commanded.
Wasn't there a specific type of incense they were supposed to mix together?
Yeah.
And they didn't use the right mixture. There was some kind of specified earlier in the Torah about how it was mixed and the components of it. Wasn't there isn't that part of this as well? I'm trying to remember back. I haven't read that in a while, so.
You know what? Since I have my books right behind me here,
Okay.
let me look it up. But please continue, and I will look it up while we're talking. I mean, the thing is, it was not commanded. That's the main thing. But
They kind of went out of they started, they did a practice out of alignment from where they should have been doing it, the way they were
Right.
supposed to do it. But I think there also was, they didn't put the right combination of herbs together. It was a specific pattern of grouping of herbs that they were supposed to use.
it just says that they took incense. It doesn't say what kind of incense it took. Although, okay, the comment from Plout is that they were not presenting the regular incense offering of the morning, which would not have required 2 fire pans. Evidently, they were attempting something original. Very good, Harvey. So it doesn't say it specifically in this verse here, but the kind of incense they were supposed to offer apparently did not require fire pans. So apparently they did use a different kind of incense. Very good. I learned something tonight.
Okay, I would like to say something.
Sure.
I don't think the intention was bad, but sometimes if you don't understand what you're doing and how you're supposed to do it, can get you in trouble. It can get you fired. It can get, an event can go wrong, a project, anything, I mean, if you're an engineer and you have good intentions, but you don't put the parts in the right place,
Like a Boeing airplane.
I mean, it's not that they meant to do wrong. It's just that the way they went about it. So maybe we need to learn to be informed first.
That would be a good idea. Yeah, it says, by the way, Sam, the note here about alien fire says, not from the divine flame that had descended on the altar.
Ah,
And it says the priestly ideal is one of conformity, not of innovation. Now, you always need people who are adhering to the rules, but you also need people who are willing to break the rules, right? Otherwise, how do we ever get new music or new art or new literature, right?
I was just gonna say that. I think you know, as an artist, one of the things that you have to learn is like the basics, and then break the basics. Like become your what is your vision? What is your voice?
Right.
One of the things that I've been learning this week, and I had no idea that the counting of the Omer like kind of goes with this. Being in a self quarantine or like social distancing, no one is keeping me accountable to anything except for myself. And it's really interesting to see, like, I literally can wake up whenever I want, I could do whatever. And it's like, but is that the life I want to live? And it's interesting to see that this week is all about like self discipline and strength. And I love that. I really, really do appreciate that, because what is that connection? It's difficult, it's hard. But I'm definitely like, it's interesting to see that's what I'm personally working with.
Great.
Keeping myself accountable, and it's a challenge, that's for sure. So
Sure. Well, we all have our own challenges, right? I mean, like, for example, self-discipline is not my challenge. You might be able to guess what my challenge is. So I invite, one of the things I think that we're discovering in this self-isolation and all that is that we've been too busy, right? As one of my Christian colleagues said, this is sort of a Sabbath, right? I'm definitely not like on a Sabbath of my work, because I'm working just as hard as I was before, but I'm not running around as much. And of course, none of us are. And there's something about that tells us, gee, maybe we've been running around too much. And maybe, we have, not for this kind of thing, like a service, obviously we want to be together, but there are a lot of meetings that we drive to, that we fly to, that we don't need to do that for, and that would help our planet and save us some time and some aggravation. All the driving that we do gets very aggravating because of traffic and all of that. So, those are some things that we're learning. What are some of the other things people are learning that they want to develop about themselves, or that they're just learning from being at home?
I find I'm missing the ritual of my day. I had a normal ritual that I'd go to classes, I would teach, I would go here, I'd go there, I'd come home, and I'm really missing that. And actually I'm getting fatter because I'm missing that as well.
Well, it's very important, they said, to have a structure for your day, as opposed
Right.
to, let me just get up whenever I get up and I'll do whatever comes to my mind. It's really actually gets depressing, I think. Yeah. So if you have a structure for your day, and some people pretend that they're going off to the office as they walk to their den or something, but it is really important, and to exercise and to make sure sitting in front of the computer all day long, which I've been doing, is really not the greatest thing for your physical health.
Not at all.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear from some other people too. Don't be shy.
One of the things I'm really learning is I've had a couple of doctor appointments, and they've been telemed, I guess they call it. They've each used different programs, and I love it. I don't have to drive. I don't have to worry about parking. I don't have to, wait for them and all of that. And I'm thinking, I wonder if I could continue this afterward.
Yeah.
In the coronavirus, because it's really so much, it's really handier.
That's great. Too bad they can't do dentistry that way, right? Here's
Yeah.
a drill. Open your mouth and pretend I'm drilling.
Yeah, and I can't do the eye doctor that way either, but that's life.
Well, there's some things that you really have to be there present for, but I was just, my aunt sent me a video of the doctors in Israel who are doing telemetry or whatever it's called for their patients who have coronavirus. And they drop off these kits to everybody's house that includes like a thermometer that you can read somehow through the computer. Don't ask me how they do it. And they're keeping track of people that way.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the work-life, work-family balance blending more
Yeah.
because I work with some clients, I take a break, I come out, I make lunch with, for mom and Sandy, and we reconnect family, and then I go back and do some work, and then I take a break and I come and reconnect family. And it's just such a flow that by the end of the day, I'm feeling at peace rather than exhausted.
That's great. You know, in the early days, like the people who came to my Eve class last night, when Adam and Eve, really the story of their, being kicked out of the garden and having to work the land, it really describes the kind of life that people in Canaan had at around 1800 BCE. And from there to a long time after that, work and family life were all rolled into one, right? I mean, your whole family worked the land. It's not like you went off to work somewhere else. And women made the cloth for clothing, and I mean, all of this was integrated. And maybe that's a better way to do things. That's if you can actually turn off the work and not have it penetrate everything. But having that combination, gives you a balance in your case, which is great.
Really blessed with that.
So, any other comments? People who are hiding behind their cameras. Yeah.
I think that if we have so much, if we are going to make decision day to day, all the time based on our own intuition and what we might think is our gut instinct or what we feel is right, without taking into consideration anything else, then we become easily manipulated in situations. And also there's like a total absence of humility, and like humility is like something, I think it goes beyond being disciplined. And I think that if in one instance you could rely on your animal instinct, but it's easier to do that because we're always in this modern day and age, we're always called upon to react and to things, and rather than stand for what we believe and is right. And I think that leaves us vulnerable and easily manipulated.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why it wasn't just about bringing the wrong incense. It had to do with what were the repercussions of everyone else around them if they had been able to follow through with what they were doing.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to follow anything else, like idolatrize.
Right. And discipline is important, and that's what we're supposed to be working on this week. So we have our work cut out for us in the next week. Okay, so we do have Torah study tomorrow morning at 10. And next Thursday, we're going to have another Women in the Bible class at 7 o'clock, which everyone's welcome to join. And we're having Torah study every Saturday right now until June. So please join us. And we are going to conclude with the Aleinu.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, before the Aleinu, we have, I'm sorry. Okay.
We could do
Let me
that as a
explain what this
concluding,
is. Okay, so there was so much stuff. It was so rich this week between the counting of the Omer and the different aspects of our personalities that we're trying to develop, the Torah portion that has so much great stuff in it, and during the counting of the Omer, we actually are reading Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers. So let me just share one thing that I was going to get into, but then, there's just too much to do. So Pirkei Avot, you guys can see this, right? So this week is chapter 2, and it ends with Rabbi Tarfon, who says, the day is short and the work is plentiful and the laborers are indolent and the reward is great and the master of the house is insistent. We're talking about God, obviously wanting to make sure that we study Torah and do everything we're supposed to do. And then this is the last piece. He says also, it is not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you at liberty to neglect it. If you have studied much Torah, you shall be given much reward, and faithful is your employer to pay you the reward of your labor. That means God is going to give you an extra special place in the world to come. So it is not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you at liberty to neglect it. I mean, he's really talking about the Torah, but we use it also to talk about social justice, that we do what we can to make the world a better place, and we cannot necessarily accomplish everything. And so there's a great song that goes with that, which is this.
Want to turn off your...
I'm going to.
לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי, אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי, ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי, ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי.
And now we conclude with Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתגידו לה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגוי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם בגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושבו בשמיים עמה. ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. אמת מלכנו את פסולתו, הכתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים עמה, ועל הארץ ועל מתחת עינות עינות. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
We now take a moment to think of those who are no longer with us. May their memories be for a blessing. We send our condolences to Suzanne Kopel and her family on the passing of her husband, Werner Kopel. And we're observing Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Gary Ferris, father of Tiffany Ferris. Is anyone in the first 30 days of mourning or the first year of mourning would like to mention a name? Please do so.
Miriam Ice.
Steve Landis.
And we're observing yard sites this Shabbat for Bernard Siegel, Erwin Lux, Zvi Barlev, Charlotte Mann, Fanny Miller, Edith Badovsky, Stanley Karp, Judy Sokol, Herbert Brown, David Ramick, Ida Ramick, Roberta Blyer, Gwendolyn Swaby, John Hurst, Ben Meltzer, Donald Lester, Peter Liepman, Ellen Klieger, Sigmund Cohn, Sophie Singer, Philip Chernak, Jerome Palmer, Bernice Usack, Susie Siegel, Freda P. Siegel, Rose Bond, John Usack. Is anyone else observing a yard site? Please join us in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash Shemei Rabbah. V'alma divrach yechutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei lechol Beit Yisrael. V'agala uv'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shemei dekudashah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. Before our closing song, I would like to thank Cantor Bob and Barbara for your beautiful music tonight. Really helped us get through our tough times. And we are going to conclude with Adon Olam. And Carolee, you may get up and dance.
And Rabbi, we want to thank you for a lovely service.
It's the traditional Adon Olam, so I have to dance slowly. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Ve'et Nasa B'chefza Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nivra Ve'yacharei Tiklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hove V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni V'ham Shilo V'hakbira V'li Beshi V'li Tanit V'lo Ha'os V'ha'mizra V'hu Eli V'hai Go'ani V'tzur Chevli V'yet Zara V'hu Nisi U'manosli V'nat Kozi V'yom Ekra V'yado Afiduchi V'yet Ishan V'yahira V'yet Adonai V'lo
So here's some bread that I'm going to put on the screen, and you can touch the screen and join in the motzi. I will also put the motzi up on the screen with my other hand. Hang on a second.
Well,
I can't do both at the same time. Okay.
they probably know the motzi by now.
We're gonna sing
That's the
Motzi.
song.
Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise along together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. Motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
If you guys want to
Thanks,
hang
Bob
out
and Barbara.
and talk a little bit and pretend that we have an oneg, we can do that.